This has been one of the most difficult weeks that I can remember from my entire life. And I live in America. Welcome, everyone. And Rabbi Libak, it's good to see you. We haven't been together on face to face since before the holidays.
It does feel like a century
Yeah,
ago.
it really does.
So
It
much
really
has
does.
happened in such a short time.
A lot has
Uh,
happened. We are incredibly honored to be joined today, first of all, by many of you who are watching us on YouTube or Facebook, and certainly say hi in the chat so that we know that you're here. We're equally and perhaps even more honored to have with us Sarah Tuttle Singer. Sarah is the author of Jerusalem Drawn and Quartered. She's also the new media editor at the Times of Israel. Sarah lives in Israel. And it is such an honor to have you here. Maybe, Sarah, you could start by just telling us, where are you? How are you? Is your family safe?
Thank you so much for creating the space for all of us to be here like this, and it's an honor. I, I live in Jerusalem, and we are physically safe, but we're not okay. I don't know anyone who is okay at this point in time.
I've heard that so many times. We're safe, but not okay. Yeah.
And I thought, with your permission, I could read a few entries from the diary I've been keeping since Saturday morning, since
Please
all of
do.
this,
Please do.
all this happened. I'd like to say that the events here in Israel are horrific, and the headlines reflect that, and what I'm about to share also reflects that. And I'm not going to mince words. So um, if there are younger listeners, or if any of you are hearing this and I say something that upsets you, please just turn off the broadcast. Don't listen, okay? Because these are difficult times, and I know that it's not always easy to hear about what's going on. So it's Saturday morning, and the sirens come one after the other here in Jerusalem. I've lost count already, and my coffee is cold. Just across the road from our home, a salvo of fireworks and gunfire too. A truck rumbles by, and cars beep their horns, and a young shepherd herds his sheep down the hill toward the desert in silence. Our neighbor's son just got his orders to show up for military duty. He can't say where he's going. The blue morning trembles, and the birds don't know which way to fly. It's Saturday afternoon, and we watch the news in horror. These aren't just rockets, which is terrible enough. Our country is being invaded by murderers and monsters. Our people are being slaughtered. It's Saturday, and Jews in Israel who keep Shabbat and Chag are just coming back online. They've probably heard rumors by now. Maybe they've even heard reports. And those here in Jerusalem and throughout the center and the south of the country have certainly heard the sirens. And my son's friend's sister is missing. Her name is Shiraz. She's the cool big sister, the fun babysitter, the smart, lively girl who everyone adores. And she's missing. She was last seen near Netivot, and the last known contact with her was just after 7 a.m. when the massacre began. I pray we'll have good news soon. I think about all the others missing and murdered, the numbers rising by the moment. In an Israel that is often fragmented and so often fraught, where we're so often behind our own lines and divided from one another, when there is horror and tragedy, we come together as one, as family. It's Sunday morning, and we are safe right now, but we're not okay. It's Sunday afternoon, and they found Shiraz's body lying all alone on scorched, blood-soaked earth. I have no words. I watched her grow from a bubbly teenager to a vivacious young woman ready to take on life with a full embrace. Her mother is also one of the most radiant people I know and one of the kindest. My heart breaks for them all, and I won't lie to you, I am full of rage right now. So much rage. I can barely swallow. I can hardly breathe. It's Sunday night, and I don't understand how can anyone see the carnage Hamas themselves are posting on social media and still support them. What kind of people celebrate when babies are ripped from their parents' arms, when women are raped next to the corpses of their friends, and grandmothers are butchered on a Facebook live stream? Where is your moral compass? Friends outside of Israel, please see this. See us and say something. It's Monday afternoon. My friend Omar is originally from Gaza, and he sent me a message. Sarah, I realize my words change nothing and mean very little, but I am sorry for what my people are doing to your people. Omar is mistaken about his words not meaning anything. His words pierce the darkness with exquisite light. They do more than he can imagine. His words are an entire universe. It's Monday night, and my son calls me from his dad's house. He's on his way to sit with his friends, Shiraz, his younger brother. What do you remember about her? I ask my son. Well, she was really nice, he says. She was funny, and she drove me home sometimes when I would play at their house. I remember when she dropped me off, she never drove away until she could make sure I got into the house. And this one time a car was blocking, and she couldn't see if I got in, so she parked and she followed me to the door. A moment passes. Mom, are you crying? He asks. Later Monday night. My friend, Rabbi Michael Davis, writes on Facebook. He says, we need to remember that this isn't just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people murdered. It's one and one and one and one and one. It's Tuesday, and I'm starting to remember something. In 2014, the kids and I went through a long slog of a summer war with Gaza. It wasn't our first war in Israel, but it was the first one to physically reach us. It was the first time sirens had ever sounded in the area. And for a moment, we were baffled. We didn't know what to do, but there was a shelter down the road, and so we ran. They were little enough where when the sirens howled, I could pick them up under each arm and run over the sun-baked earth to the public shelter, just 50 meters away. We had this little backpack. It was filled with Pringles and water and flaky Mekupele chocolate and a deck of cards. And my son brought his stuffed camel, and my daughter brought her Ariel, the Little Mermaid doll. We met our neighbors, and we sang songs to keep the kids calm. We could protect them from the onslaught of news and the horrific images of houses burned, the little boy murdered by a Hamas rocket. We could at least do that with our silly songs and our Pringles and our stuffed animals and our card games of Go Fish. We could keep their hearts safe from the hungry darkness. But then this one afternoon, we didn't make it in time, and we hurtled to the earth, and I covered their bodies with mine in the dust. And I'll never forget the smell of smoke and the stink of feral fear. But I was there, and I protected them, and they got up and they dusted themselves off, and we went to the shelter anyway and played Go Fish. But that was 9 years ago, and this time they're teenagers, just a few short years from their own army draft notices and from combat boots and uniforms and dog tags and the new family that they'll build of brothers and sisters in arms. At this time, it's so different. They can read the news. They understand the words, even if the situation is completely incomprehensible. They use social media because it's a necessity at their age. And I can't scoop them up and carry them to the shelter like I did back then. I can't throw my body over theirs to protect their hearts and their souls from the onslaught of headlines and images that they're seeing. Their phones are their lifeline to their friends. It's how they make plans to meet in the shelter with their Pringles and Mekupele and playing cards. But it's also a tool of such horrific destruction, pure psychological torture, as Hamas blasts out images of brutalized bodies, videos of the worst atrocities you could ever imagine. Of headlines flashing across their screen. Beheaded babies, 2 words that should never be in the same sentence ever. As their friends share stories of their own horrors and losses, and even send the terrible photos that they've seen too, asking the questions, wait, isn't this your friend's brother? Wait, don't we know her? I can't protect my kids now as I did back then, nearly a decade ago, during that long, awful summer. I can't cover my body to save them, but I can be there with them in the darkness. A safe shelter whenever they decide they need to run to me. A safe place to rest. And today, I'm angry and I'm scared and I'm heartbroken. We now know that Saturday was the bloodiest day in Jewish history since the Holocaust. But outside in our streets, I see my own expression on the faces of strangers, the same fear and heartbreak that I'm feeling. And we don't have to explain it to one another or try to pretend we have it together in the supermarkets or at work. We can feel all the things we want to feel together, and that gives me a sense of kinship. We are one. And I see the messages of love and support that are coming in from all over the globe. You see us and you're speaking out. And in so doing, we are also one. It is comfort, it is connection, it's community, it's family, and this is pure holiness. And even though I'm not okay at all, and I don't know if I'll ever be okay, there is nowhere else I want to be right now. And I'm grateful that all of you are with me too. Thank you.
Sarah, that was incredibly moving.
Apologize for the.
I want to see. Bring that baby in. Bring that baby in. I love that sound. I love
He'll
that
knock
sound.
over the computer. He's a big fan, and I got to say, even though I know screen time's not advised at this age, with all we're going through, this kid has seen more Elmo videos than I care to admit. But I guess I've just admitted it.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
Here we are. We're doing the best we can, and I may have to jump off soon because he's struggling right now. And
Of course. But you are welcome to bring him in. It's not a problem for us.
I think it'll.
Rabbi, go ahead.
Sarah, I had prepared questions. I had prepared, the question of how does this feel different, and you answered it. I prepared the question of what can we in the rest of the world do, and you answered that. I asked. I wanted to ask about social media, and you spoke about that. I am at a loss for words, as I imagine many people are. And to not know what to say or not know what to do is not a usual feature of mine. We're rabbis. We thrive on always having something to say, and so I'm feeling incredibly grateful that you shared it, and really at a loss. I know you're not a political pundit, and yes, you're in the media, but I guess I still want to maybe push, because I have congregants who are asking about particularly social media, and what do they post and what do they repost, and what I've said to them is acknowledge that this is happening, okay? And the memes are starting to come in of support for Israel, and even if it's just an Israeli flag, that the world knows that this is not something that's been forgotten. But I wonder if there's something that, if there was anything else that you wanted to share about that, and what the role of social media has been over the last few days.
Thank you, Rabbi. On the one hand, social media can be incredibly toxic, but on the other hand, it can really be an opportunity to connect. And that's why the three of us are together right now in this virtual space. And when I can only speak for myself and the people I know, but what I can tell you is that when we see the Israeli flags appear on people's pictures, whether they're Jews in the diaspora or allies outside of the Jewish community who just want to support and love and connect, it makes us feel seen and supported, and it allows us a little breathing space. When we see the buildings light up around the world, from Paris to Berlin to Rome to New York and in Toronto and all over the globe, and we see blue and white lights on these buildings and we see the Israeli flag, it makes us feel like we are not alone in the darkness. So we appreciate that, and it really means something to us. I'm sure it brings comfort within the community where you are, and it also we in Israel are noticing it, and it impacts us, and it's tremendous. One thing we appreciate is when you amplify Israeli voices. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be analyses, there already are, written about how could this happen, why did this happen, the history, and then that old word context, and that's going to emerge more and more in the coming days, weeks, and months, certainly. But we also need to hear about what's happening on the ground from the Israelis living through it, whether they're in the south dealing with the catastrophe, the absolute catastrophe and mayhem down there, or in the north dealing with the uncertainty from Hezbollah, or in Jerusalem, where we're in a mixed city with lots of opportunities for connection and also a lot of tension between Arabs and Jews, and in vibrant, bustling Tel Aviv that's just brought to their knees all over the map, from the north to the south, east and west. And Israel's so tiny. It's just like it's a geographic fingernail, right? It's like the size of New Jersey from root to tip. And we're all so connected. There's no, 1 degree of separation is a lot now. We all know somebody who has either been murdered or is missing, or we know someone who has just suffered the most unthinkable loss. And so Israelis, Hebrew speakers, also Arabic speakers, and English speakers, and other speakers of other languages too, are writing these accounts. And so sharing that can be really helpful. These personal testimonies, these as we bear witness to just an absolute disaster that we're reckoning with.
Sarah, can I ask you a question? And please let us know when you do need to jump off. Okay. In addition to the physical pain and trauma, I hear in your voice so much emotional and spiritual pain, and I'm wondering, how does Israel and Israelis, and maybe Jews everywhere, how do we even begin to process this on an emotional and spiritual level?
That's something I'm grappling with. I think we're a people who has suffered trauma for generations. It's embedded in our DNA. So we have the roots within our system to deal with the unthinkable. And we're a very resilient people. The Jewish people, Am Yisrael, is, and those who choose to throw their fate in with the Jewish people, either through being staunch allies or through conversion and embracing our fate as their own, are a resilient people. You got to be. To be Jewish, you have to be resilient. And so in the end, through this pain, through this pall of grief and anxiety and sort of existential dread we're feeling, is also, I believe, this sense of real strength at our core. And I don't know anyone here who on the one hand is not just suffering, but also still able to see and seek out and create moments of light and connection, whether it's showing up and waiting for 5 hours in line to donate blood for Magen David Adom around in Jerusalem, amongst Jerusalemites of all stripes, from the ultra Orthodox to completely, secular tattoos, swinging guitars over their shoulders, to Palestinian East Jerusalemites, left wing, right wing, all those differences blur in that moment. And so we see that, and we see people breaking out into spontaneous songs of hope, people offering hugs to total strangers. There is throughout this difficult period, there is this gentleness that's also fallen over us, and a desire to connect and to hold each other, and that is just a tremendous thing. And we're also seeing it from abroad as folks are pouring into airports and trying to get on any El Al flight that they can to fly to Israel to volunteer. And this is we're a nation, when there's a terror attack, people don't run away from the terror attack; they run toward it to try to stop the terrorist, or help heal somebody who's been wounded, save a life if they can, or just be there with their hearts open to just help in any way, shape, or form that they can. And we're seeing that now. And sure, there are people leaving Israel right now for their own reasons, but those numbers are small compared to all of the people who are pouring in. Not just Israelis who are getting their draft notices to show up for reserves, but Jews who want to volunteer, and even people who aren't Jewish who want to volunteer too. And that is just a stunning, astounding thing. And gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump off this call to go.
No, we're going to let you go. Put your baby to sleep.
And thank you for asking these beautiful questions and letting me share a little bit about what life is like here right now.
Thank you. You have really given us a gift. For us to be able to amplify this voice is such an honor. We wish you strength, and we wish you that you know that we are standing with you, even though we're a couple thousand miles away.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank
you both. Good night and shalom.
Shalom. I want everyone to know that you can read Sarah's work. Rabbi, we can continue if you want, but you can read Sarah's work at timesofisrael.com. That is where I have been getting all of my news about what's going on. Times of Israel. She's also a prolific writer on Facebook, on Instagram. She's everywhere. Twitter. It's just such an important voice. Rabbi, any thoughts?
I feel so grateful to have had that 25 minutes that we've had with her, and it was like she anticipated everything that I felt like I needed, and just said. The last question I was going to ask is where are the rays of light in this, and then she said it. And I can assure you, folks, we did not plan that. We didn't plan any of this. So I think we should stop here with the caveat that if you are watching between now and tomorrow night, that we encourage you to come to Temple Sinai and to stand together, because in this moment we need community, and Israel needs us to come together, to pray, but also to stand as a Jewish people. Because if this is about wiping the Jewish people off of the face of the earth, we're not going to allow that to happen. Our security, we are beefing up our security. So any of these rumors that are floating around, we are, God willing, ready to handle them. You're only going to be allowed to come through the Bloom lobby, so be prepared for that. But this is about coming together as Jewish people. Hopefully, if you have not yet, you will receive an email from me, a long email sharing my thoughts about this. And then afterwards, after services tomorrow, we're going to give people an opportunity to talk as well. Thank you for those of you who shared your thoughts in the chat. We appreciate your being a part of this. And for those of you who are watching this after the fact, we hope it has been helpful for you. The clergy and the staff at Temple Sinai are here for you if you want to talk more.